1 hour until the Broncos are back, baby. Only 1 hour until the moment we've been waiting for, fellas.
Are you getting goosebumps yet, Todd? It's a big preseason game.
No goosebumps yet, but I'm definitely ready to see these boys play. I know how it is going through camp. You're tired of hitting your own team. I feel like they should come pumped up and ready to go.
So, Todd, that's exactly where I want to start. I want to start with what the vibes are like for a player right now. And I would imagine that Todd Davis in 2014 and 2015 had a little bit different of a feeling entering the first preseason game than Todd Davis in 2018 and 2019. Am I right on that?
Absolutely. I think those first 2 years, you're so excited. This is your opportunity to really show the team what you can do. And for a lot of players, this is the most we'll play all year. So you really want to go out there and show what you can do. You're excited. Some of them, it's their first time stepping on the NFL field. So it has that extra edge and extra oomph, that they bring to the game. And for us veterans, man, we're sick of it. Like, we can't wait for preseason to be over. We're like, this doesn't really matter. My contract's already signed. Like, I'm ready to go get paid. They're not really paying me during the preseason. So let's get to the money-making games and let's make it happen.
So as 2014, 2015, Todd, or like the second, third stringers for this Broncos game right now, what are they? Are they approaching this like a regular season game? Are the goosebumps, as Henry said, are they flowing right now? Is the music your normal game music?
Yeah, they're definitely flowing, and I think it's even more than a regular season game. It's like a playoff game for these guys because the cuts start to happen pretty soon, so you got to come ready to play. Like, this is prime time for them. This is, every play matters. You don't want to miss any assignments. Like, this is cut or be cut, so they're really ready and they're excited to play.
Well, cut or be cut. I mean, that's Henry right now. He's got to perform on this show or he's done. He's cut. We're letting you know right now, Henry.
Oh, wow. Well, it's better than letting me know earlier, I guess. I would have been stressed all day. Do you remember any plays that you made? Like right before you made the team, was there anything that happened in the preseason stands out?
The Saints game was in the preseason. The Saints game, the fourth preseason game, where the backups really play a majority of the game. There was multiple times in that game that I had to make checks by myself or line the defense up as the middle linebacker without a play in. Like, I think we were playing the Rams and they were just running hurry up. So now I got to line everybody up and get everybody. And I felt like I did a pretty good job of it. I was like, okay, if I can get this down, maybe I can make the team. So that whole entire game was really one of me feeling like I've proven myself. I showed that I knew what to do and could even get other guys lined up and do their job.
So that wasn't intentional by the coaches? It was because they were running hurry up?
Yeah, I think it was more so the other offense, being on the ball. Now, you never know. Coaches like to talk, and they definitely could have planned that before. Like, let's put some pressure on these guys and see what they're made of. But I felt like I handled it well, and, I must have, I guess.
I think Sean talked who were you playing? The Rams?
I think it was the Rams.
Whoever the Rams could, St. Louis Rams at that point. I'm sure Sean talked to him and said, before the game, and said, let's put some pressure on Todd Davis for this game. Run hurry up in the fourth quarter, and we're going to see if he knows his stuff. And now, so for veterans, the starters of this team, these guys probably don't want to be playing, like you said. Do they still get as hyped for this game?
Not as much. I think guys that are on the cusp, those older guys that have a young guy to come in like a Justin Simmons that can potentially take your spot, okay, now I'm pumped and I feel like I got to go out there and play. But for the guys that have 7 years and you're a seasoned veteran, an all-pro player, I think they're more looking forward to getting through the game healthy so they can get ready for the regular season.
The one guy that I'm most curious about how he feels about this game on this Broncos team is Kareem Jackson, a guy that you've said is your guy before, because he's been a starter for all 13 seasons that he's been in the NFL. And now he's listed on the depth chart as a co-starter with Caden Stearns. And so not only does he have to play in the preseason, his 14th season in the NFL, but now he actually has to play and perform in order to keep his job.
Yeah, and I know K-Jack personally, he's not backing down from any challenge. So I think he's one of those guys that we talked about earlier where, there's a young guy named Caden Stearns, he's hungry. And I think Kareem has to still show up and show that, he's a veteran safety that can still get it done in this league. And I think the coaches know that, but now he has the opportunity to put it on film for the 13th time.
Speaking of hungry, we are here for Friday Night Live and also Broncos pregame. And the bar here is popping at DNVR. So if you're just getting off work, you see what Ryan Green's got in his hand. You're getting off work, come down to the DNVR bar. Less than an hour till kickoff, and we've got it all. I mean, Hank, what do you got? What are you drinking?
I've got the Mountain Beach. Mountain Beach, good stuff. Beer of the month.
You would be going for the deal.
Wait, the what?
The deal.
Oh, yeah, I love the
beer
deal.
of the month.
Yeah, if they say this is $2 off, I'm going to drink it.
Of course.
That's how it
Todd?
works.
I have a little bit of tequila and lemonade.
Oh, and I'm pretty much right there with you. I'm going with the Riki, the Breckenridge Distillery Riki, which is tequila and a splash of lime. So, I mean, we're pretty much drinking the same thing.
Can't beat it.
I can't beat it, and you can't beat a Friday night at the DNVR Bar. So come join us, and let's start with Russell Wilson first off. What do you want to see from him tonight? 15 to 18 plays is what we're going to see from Russ.
I just think 15 good plays, no major mistakes, a solid game. I do feel like as a veteran, he may be looking towards the regular season, but I think that he is also looking forward to every opportunity to make corrections from what he did last year. So I definitely look for him to be back to the old Russ and really make some plays happen, because it's important for him to make his name, I guess, great again.
Yeah, I completely agree. And for this team, I would hope that the starters, even though they're probably a little annoyed that they have to play tonight, I hope that they have a little extra pep in their step because of how bad last year was, especially for the offense, especially for Russ. He probably does want to prove it, because I would think that he wants to knock last year off as much as he possibly can. You can only do that a little bit in preseason, but you can probably still chip away just a tiny bit at least.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. It'd be fun if he goes out there and plays well. Like if he's, 6 for 6, puts up big numbers, has a touchdown. It would make tonight way more fun. At the end of the day, though, if he plays great, I'm not going to feel any better about the season. Like, that's just the truth. I need to see it in a regular season game. Flip side, if he doesn't play well, I'm not going to be too concerned by it. I'm not reading too much into this game. To me, it's just about the fun.
So you're telling me if he goes out there
Yes.
and goes 0 for 8 throughout the first quarter, you're not concerned?
I mean, 0 for 8 would be rough. Give me 1 for 8 at least.
Okay.
No way, 1 for
really
8?
bad.
Just give me at least.
1 for 8 and you feel okay?
It's a preseason game, though. Like, you can't take too much away from it, I think, when you look at, like, the starters. Like, the guys who have something on the line are the end of the roster guys who need to, like, prove that they belong. When it comes to Russell Wilson, I know what he's capable of. I know the highs. I know the lows. Regardless of what happens tonight, I'm not going to feel like one is more likely than the other.
Todd, I like that you questioned Henry, but you didn't go far enough. Henry, you're crazy.
Really?
You're crazy.
Really?
I think people, understandably so, and I'll include myself in this, will freak out if he has a terrible game. Now,
they would.
In average game, okay, yeah, it is preseason. It's okay. But if he goes out there and is 1 for 8, and it's awful,
yeah.
That's going to be so bad. Now, on the flip side, if he goes 6 for 7 for 60 yards, a touchdown, and has 2 drives, which goes for a touchdown and a field goal, I think people are going to be like, Russ is back, baby. The guys on the DNVR Broncos pod saying Russell Wilson, that's who Russell Wilson's been playing as the past few days. Oh, that's exactly who he is now.
And I totally agree. The people are either going to freak out if things don't go well, or they're going to be really excited if things do go well. I think either way, they're probably just overreacting a little bit too much.
So then, Todd, can preseason at all, whether it's offense, defensive team, can there be any momentum rolled in from the preseason to the regular season?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you can really get the ball rolling and win your preseason games, I think it just starts the winning culture. It starts there early, and that's something that Sean has definitely preached to them to win early. And I think that, a lot of the preseason lows that we had last year carried over. I think there was a lot of times that we didn't play great in the preseason, and then you saw it in the regular season. So that momentum definitely carries over. Every win matters in the NFL, preseason or not. You never want to lose.
So then the Ravens are on to something. Don't they have like a 24-game preseason win streak?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I forgot about it. Last year I was just betting on every game. I was just taking the money line for the Ravens every single time.
Preseason?
Yeah, and I totally forgot this year. So thank you for bringing that up.
They're not playing Lamar Jackson, though. And so this might be Harbaugh saying, I'm okay losing it.
I trust Harbaugh. Lamar wasn't there at the beginning of the streak.
He wasn't?
I mean, if it's 24 games, 6 years.
Yeah, it had to be before Lamar.
Oh, before Lamar. Sorry. I thought you said before Harbaugh. No, you're right on that. Okay, back to the Broncos. Who is a key player, not to win the game, but if you could choose one player to perform well in this game, not named Russell Wilson, who are you picking?
I think it's somebody that we really are going to need throughout the stretch of the season, and that's Samaje Perine. I think he'll have a huge workload this year, depending on how much they want to place on Javonte coming back from injury. He's going to play a lot, but at the same time, I could see Samaje getting a lot of carries every single game. So, that rush offense is going to be very important. I think it was important to Sean when he was in New Orleans. It was important to Russell Wilson when he was in Seattle. He see him perform well, and I think he will. But, there's a lot of weight on his shoulders whether this team runs the ball well or not.
You're spot on, 100%. And I think with Javonte's rookie season, Henry, how many carries did Melvin Gordon have?
Wasn't it like 3 more than Javonte?
He had 201 carries, Melvin Gordon did. How many carries did Javonte Williams have?
I'll go 198 because I said 3.
201. They each had the exact number of carries. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the exact same thing this year. Although Javonte Williams probably the better back when healthy, I don't think he's going to be ever 100% healthy this year. And so I think Sean's going to say, look, I use 2 backs. I have Alvin Kamara on my team, and I'm still using Mark Ingram all the time. So I think that it is going to be a ton on Samaje's shoulders. So I think that's a great person to look at. And I also don't expect Javonte Williams to play tonight. We haven't officially got that word. I'd be shocked if he plays, so it's going to be all on Samaje with that first team. Henry, who are you going with?
I'm torn between Tyler Beatty and Jaleel McLaughlin. And I think it's
Back
because
of the roster, Hank.
Really it's either one of them. The thing is, though, at some point this season, the third running back is going to be important. And it might only be a couple games. It might be more than that. He's going to be important at some point. So I really just want to see something that gets me excited about one of those two. And I probably lean Jaleel just because he's a rookie. But, Tyler Beatty, he got 2 touches last year. One was a 27-yard touchdown. So there's plenty of juice in either one of them. I think one gets a big play tonight.
No love for Tony Jones Jr.? He's ahead of McLaughlin.
I feel bad about it. Like, I've said this on the podcast before. It's just, he's in a tough situation because he's played football before. Like, with those other two, it's just such an unknown. And you look at them and say, like, anything's possible. They could turn out to be Pro Bowl-type players. With Tony Jones, somebody who's been in the league a few years, you kind of feel like you know what he's all about. And you know that there's a ceiling there. And that ceiling, maybe it's a number 2 back, maybe it's like a number 3 back, but there's just a little bit less excitement. And he doesn't deserve that at all. And I feel bad saying it, but it's just the truth, that those young guys, your mind just gets excited about them.
With Todd Davis sitting to the right of me, I can't believe I have to be the one that's going to say a defensive player. But I'm going Jonathan Cooper here. And the reason, one, I want to see if Jonathan Cooper is this type of player that he's been in the preseason. And that's like a legitimate, good pass rusher in the NFL. But the second thing is if Jonathan Cooper comes out and plays really well, then I'm going to say, okay, maybe it's not Mike McGlinchey that isn't that good. And it would kind of ease my concerns about the offensive line, at least a little bit, especially we're probably not going to see Mike McGlinchey out here in the preseason. So my first our first introduction to McGlinchey is going to be the regular season. And if Jonathan Cooper tears it up, then I'm going to feel a little bit better about where this offensive line is, especially the tackles, especially Mike McGlinchey. So I want to see a sack from him tonight.
Ooh, that's big time. I think he's played well, over the course of his short career, and really, especially well in this preseason or this training camp. So I say, why not? Yeah, I'll take the over on that, over one sack.
Oh,
yeah,
there we go. I love it. And also Nick Bonito, you could throw him in there as well. Okay, let's go to let's do a little magic wand here. You get to wave a magic wand, and you get anything to happen in this game that doesn't relate to a player. So you can't say like Russell Wilson has a great game. You could say the Broncos win. You can say there's no injuries in this game. You can take it any of those directions. You could say there's no false starts, delay of games. What would you choose for this game? What would be that one thing you want to see?
Give me 250 rushing yards. That's a big number, but I mean, if we're waving a magic wand, that's what I want. Wow. I'm not using a magic wand on 150, you know? Let me see that the starting offensive line, even with McGlinchey replaced, is dominant. Let me see that there's a little bit of depth there, too, because the combination of, like, the offensive line and the running backs, like, that's what you need to get to 250. If I'm waving a magic wand, I'm throwing 250 out there. Just round and pound, and it works all night.
Well, hey, that's going swinging for the fences. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Personally, I think that I would like to see a special teams touchdown. You know, I think we know the defense is going to be pretty good this year. You know, we're hoping that the offense is picking things up. But really a game changer could be the special teams. If the special teams is able to put Russell Wilson in good field position as well as maybe score a couple of touchdowns throughout the year, that really puts the Broncos at the best position to win throughout the season. So if the special teams can perform well and, you know, get a touchdown today, I think I'd be pretty happy.
Man, something we haven't seen in forever. I mean, the Broncos, when I think of special teams touchdowns, I think of 2012 when they had Trindon Holiday run two back in the awful playoff game against the Ravens. I'm sure there's been another one since.
Yeah, you can't leave out Jordan Norwood, Omar Bolden. I mean, we've had some guys that
Jordan, he had the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. I think didn't that just get broken last year or a year or two ago? But I mean, that was a 56-yarder, but not touchdown.
No,
not touchdown. So I mean, that would just be huge. And speaking of special teams, got to check out Hank's article on what would you call Mike Westhoff?
Well, as I wrote in the story, Sean Payton said he's the best special teams coordinator of all time. Roger Goodell said he's a mad scientist. PJ Locke told me he's batshit crazy. And he's in charge of fixing the special teams. It's like 3,000 words on special teams. You know you need it. 366 likes on Twitter. Those people can't be wrong. Listen to them and read it.
So check it out, thednvr.com. If I'm waving my magic wand for this first preseason game, I'm going the Broncos are up by 14 points when the starters leave the game.
That's a good one.
And we'll talk about the spread of this game in a little bit. But this Cardinals team is awful, is trash, I mean, use any word you want. I think they're going to have the number one pick in this coming draft, and they're going to get Caleb Williams and turn their franchise around. But right now, they're bad. The Broncos are playing all of their starters for the most part. The Cardinals are playing select starters. So not only are they awful, but they're not playing all of their starters, and their depth is worse than the Broncos. So the Broncos should dominate with their first teamers, and realistically, they could be up 7 or 10. I'd take that. But if they go up 2 touchdowns by the time the starters come out, I'm feeling really good. Like, okay, they did what they needed to do. They took care of business. They're not messing around. And I think Sean Payton's going to want that too. I don't think Sean Payton's going to let his foot off the gas when this first team is on the field.
No, I see Sean calling this. I don't think he'll show you all the plays that he has, but I think he'll call it like he would a regular season game. So that would be tremendous for the offense to go out there and really show their dominance. And really against backups, they should. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Todd, have you ever been blown out in a game, in a preseason game, or blown a team out?
Dang, I guess I don't remember. It must have happened when I was starting and I didn't really care as much about the preseason.
You had your hat on, you're doing interviews on the sideline.
Exactly.
None of that this year.
No, I must have been chewing seeds like, man, we got to get these boys together, man.
Yeah.
I was on the sideline for sure.
Okay, let's throw some props out there. Russell Wilson, you guys tell me if you're taking the over or the under. Because it's preseason, Bet365 doesn't even have these out there. So I'm just coming up with these in my head. You can tell me if the line's way off. 50.5 passing yards for Russ.
So what, that's like 4 completions? 4 completions?
Oh, you think?
I think, I would say in 15 plays, I'll probably run the ball 7 times. 54.5?
Yeah.
I'll take the over. I say 60 is probably what he'll hit.
Okay.
It'll be close.
Yeah.
But I can see him hitting 60. 10 yards a pass. Why not?
Yep.
I'll go over.
Yeah,
I'll go over for sure.
I'll go over as well. Now, of the 3 quarterbacks of the Broncos, who's going to have the most passing yards? Is it Ben DiNucci? Is it Jarrett Stidham? Or is it Russell Wilson?
Jarrett Stidham. I think he'll play the majority of the game, so he has to have the most passing yards for sure.
I've got DiNucci. There have been so many days, like that first week of practice, DiNucci's out there, he's moving the ball, he's completing passes. The other guys are, they're batting 500 maybe. I think DiNucci is just way too good to be playing third-teamers. I think he's going to put up some numbers.
I agree with you, Henry, but I'm taking Todd on this because I think Jared Stidham's going to play the most.
I think so.
Out of these guys, I think Russ is probably going to get a little quarter and a half, 2 quarters for Stidham, and then just leftovers for DiNucci. Who was the quarterback? He was on your team, the third-string quarterback who was a star in the preseason and a fan favorite.
Kyle Sloter?
Yes, Kyle Sloter.
Everybody was mad when we traded him. That was crazy.
Yeah. And I think DiNucci is, over this preseason, is going to be the Kyle Sloter. I think he's going to be a fan favorite. Everyone's going to love him. And then the Broncos are going to cut him or something. And people are going to be like, why? But I think he's going to be able to put up stats. Samaje Perine, 27.5 rushing yards.
I say under. I think he's going to have some good carries, but I don't think he's going to be in there that long to really rack up the yards. So maybe he breaks one for 10, gets a couple others, for 4, but I think he'll maybe go under that number.
Fair. Okay,
I'll take the over.
I'll do it.
Mostly because I think he'll break one. It's Samaje Perine. He's not probably hitting like an 80-yarder, but I think he can break a couple tackles, get like a 12, 13-yard run in there, patch it up with a couple more short ones. I think he can get to 28.
Be great to see that.
It would be.
Okay, last player one here, sacks. We've been talking about this pass rush like crazy. 4.5 sacks for the Broncos tonight. It's a big number.
That is a lot. But, I'm going to take the over. The guys have been playing so well in practice. I think they're going to come out here and really show what they have. I think even the years I was there as a Bronco, we racked up sacks in the preseason. We had a good group of guys, and for them to have so many young, hungry pass rushers, and when you're going against backups and a lot of them at that, I think they can put together maybe 5 sacks this game.
It's tough because that defense isn't going to be blitzing. In the preseason, they're not blitzing, so these need to be pure sacks, 4-man rush, somebody gets home. And I think they do it. I think my guy Marcus Haynes, I think he's got one of them. I think Benito's good for one. I think Cooper's good for one. We need 2 more from somewhere, and I think it happens.
Boom. And I think so as well, because Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito have been playing like starters throughout the training camp, and they've been killing the Broncos starters. They're going to be playing backups. So I think they're going to have a great game, and wouldn't it be nice to see a little breakout from Nick Benito? Okay, now let's take you through some team ones. The over-under in this game is 37.5. So that's 20 to 17-ish.
Ooh, that's tough. I don't think that the Cardinals will score that many points to get the over. I think it'll be under. I think the Broncos may score 24, have a good night, but I don't see the Cardinals really moving the ball or doing much. I think they'll be pretty stuck on offense.
I agree. It's because of the Cardinals. I want to say the Broncos are going to go out there because 31-7 would be a cover.
Yep.
That's just asking so much, and I don't see the Cardinals getting above 10 points. So I got to take the under.
So then the Broncos points over at Bet365 is 22.5. Todd, you said 24.
Yeah.
You comfortable with that? You taking the over? The slide over there?
I'll take it. Because Russ will score 1. Stidham may score 2. I think we'll be solid.
Yeah. I like the over as well there. I think Sean is going to want to kind of make a statement here. Okay, Henry, you taking the over as well?
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
For sure. Now, Cardinals points. You guys haven't told me what the Cardinals are going to do. They're over under 14.5.
Under.
They can score 2 touchdowns and still hit the under. Easy under.
Yeah.
It's how hard is it? I know it's preseason, but how hard is it to hold the team under 14 points, Todd?
Well, the Broncos scored 16 last year, the whole season, with the starters, with Pro Bowl players. I think they can hold them under 14 yards this game.
And Kyler Murray's not playing. It's Colt McCoy is their starting quarterback. A good backup in the NFL, but he's playing the Broncos starters, at least for the first 15 or 18 plays. So again, the Broncos defense should have success as well. Okay, now the spread on this game. Let's make our final picks here. What is the score going to be? The spread is Broncos by 6. Do the Broncos cover?
27-10.
Easy.
It's tough to score that many points when you're playing with second and third string players. I think they can do it against this team, though.
Yeah, and I was going to go 24-10.
Okay.
So I'm right there with you. I think that the Broncos can definitely cover. And it shouldn't be too hard. I might get on, see if I can take any bets myself, because I think the Broncos are going to do good.
I love it. And I'll go 24-13. Little bit tighter, but I think the Broncos should cover this. And I certainly think they should cover the first half line, which is Broncos -5. They better. They better take care of business. Okay, final thing before we get out of here. Let's give some names of players to watch. Obviously, everyone knows Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Samaje P, Ryan Jonathan Cooper. Who are some guys that we should be keeping our eyes on in the third and fourth quarter? We'll start with back of the roster, Hank.
Yeah.
Oh boy, there's like 20 for me. This is legitimately going to be the best night of my life. All these guys I've been thinking about, watching them.
All these guys you've been dreaming about.
Exactly. I'm just on YouTube like all night, like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what this guy did when he played Central Florida. But yeah, I mean, give me J.L. Skinner. That's one that everybody can get behind, because I really think he needs to do something to make this team. Like, he's sitting there right now as the sixth safety, and he's a sixth-round pick, super talented. We just haven't quite seen it so far in camp, but he's a hitter. And when you're a hitter, that just doesn't really show up during training camp. Today's his first real opportunity, and I think he's going to make some plays, and I think next time we get a depth chart, he's going to be a little bit higher.
Todd, J.L. Skinner was 220 pounds in college. What does that bring to a team when you have a safety that's almost as big as your inside linebacker?
It allows you to play so many more defenses where you can keep a safety on the field to really stop the run, but he's agile and quick enough to really stay in there and guard a Travis Kelce if he needs to, or guard the tight end one-on-one. It allows you to play that dime package without having a liability in the run game. So I think it's going to be big for the Broncos if he really steps up and plays well.
And man, Hank, I could see him taking out some small backups for the Cardinals and making some highlight plays. Keep your eye on number 35. Jaquan McMillan, probably the opposite of J.L. Skinner. I mean, he's as small as they come. That's probably the reason that he went undrafted, is because he's a very small guy. But didn't he have 12 interceptions his senior season in college? And he is a guy that we saw him last year almost have an interception, could have been a pick six. So keep your eye on him, especially going up against potentially the fifth-string quarterback for the Cardinals, who is Jeff Driscoll. Was he your teammate? Or did you guys?
Yeah, I played with Jeff for sure. It's crazy how everything works out,
man. And so Jeff was a quarterback when he played with you. He went to Houston to become a tight end. And now he's back with Arizona as a quarterback. So that's something where those Broncos could be making plays off a tight end converted quarterback.
For myself, I would say Drew Sanders. I think, he's a good young player, but there's been a lot of hype and talk about the end of this year and Josie's final contract. Is he coming in to take his spot? I think he shows it in the preseason. I don't think he'll really get an opportunity within the regular season because, Josie's steady Eddie. He doesn't get hurt. He doesn't miss plays. So I'm looking to see something or a splash in the preseason to see if he's really eligible to, step up within the next 2 years.
Man, seeing Drew Sanders step up, what Vance Joseph said about Drew Sanders this week was eye-opening. I mean, I think we're all very high on what he can be, but he said he's picking up the defense quick, which is probably the biggest thing for a rookie, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think I beat a lot of guys out just by knowing my assignment. I wasn't the fastest, strongest, but I knew what to do, and if he has the talent and the size and he knows his job, that's a scary combo.
Yeah, it is a scary combo. Vance Joseph called him a super freak of an athlete. And one of the things I've been so impressed with him so far this camp is his coverage. Because we know he can blitz. I mean, he had almost 10 sacks last season. We know he can stop the run, but can he cover? And so far, I've been really impressed with it in camp.
Definitely. And I mean, he's a guy who's just made some plays. Like, it's not every day that you see him, but once every 3 days, he does something where he's like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Like he had the clothesline tackle on Michael Bandy, just like a 5'10", 5'11" receiver. And it's like you're not supposed to tackle in preseason, but he's on a block, just whoop, knocks the guy down, and you're just like, wait, it's not supposed to be that easy. But sometimes he has those plays where you're like, my goodness, he's special.
Hank, I'm looking at you for more back of the roster,
you need more?
guys.
I got two more. Nate Atkins, tight end, number 45. Sean Payton, first thing he said about him was, we had to decide whether to put him in the tight ends room or the running backs room. And they decided on the tight ends room, but they move him all over the formation. He's ahead of Alberto on the depth chart. I think he's going to make this team. He's one to keep an eye on because he'll be there in the second, third, fourth quarter. And then Taylor Grimes, the little shifty slot receiver, 30 touchdowns over the last 2 years playing FCS football, which we love. And
we love, absolutely.
You get points for FCS football here. He's going to make a play tonight because he's been making plays throughout camp.
I love that. I love that. And Todd, I want you tonight in that third and fourth quarter to identify the next Todd Davis. Doesn't have to be a linebacker, but just the guy who we should all keep our eyes on the rest of preseason to be that guy who may make the team, but may make the practice squad. And it's someone that we should just keep our eye on. Henry's throwing out some good undrafted guys, but I'm curious, your eye, who sticks out to you on the football field tonight?
You know, I definitely can do that for you. I've always felt like I'd be good in the front office. I can evaluate talent. You know, I can see the guys that are hungry and the guys that can step up and have the drive to take it to the next level. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on the young guys and see who the next Todd Davis is out there.
Well, you know what? Sometimes a good path to the front office is doing media. So, I mean, that might be your next step. Although that might be to the Raiders. That's kind of the Raiders' path, is they take media guys. We know you don't want to go there.
I don't know if it works out too well either. The paycheck is good, but it seems like it doesn't last too long.
Yeah, it seems like they're always hiring.
Yes.
It is so true. And we will be back doing post-game pod right after the game. So grab some drinks, grab some Breckenridge Distillery, Breckenridge beer, and join us about 11 p.m., I think, is when the game's going to wrap up. We're going to be going live for a post-game show to break it all down and get Todd's next Todd Davis. So enjoy the game. Let's see if the Broncos can cover the spread, and we'll see you tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers.